What if I told you that brain surgery was performed successfully in Africa over 7,000 years ago, with patients who survived? That African doctors understood anatomy, pharmacology, and mental health long before modern hospitals existed. And that much of this knowledge was erased from your history books. Tonight, we uncover the true history of ancient African science and medicine, the knowledge the world borrowed, then buried. When people talk about ancient science, they usually mention Greece, Rome, or China. But thousands of years before Hippocrates, before Galen, before Europe's so-called Age of Enlightenment, Africa was already healing the sick, studying the stars, and mapping the human body. From the Nile Valley to West Africa, from the Horn of Africa to the Great Lakes, medicine was not superstition, it was science, spirituality, and observation combined. So, why were we never taught this? Ancient Egypt, known to its people as Kemet, was home to one of the most advanced medical systems of the ancient world. Doctors were specialized: eye doctors, dentists, surgeons, and veterinarians. Medical schools existed in temple complexes, known as houses of life. The Edwin Smith Papyrus, dated to around 1600 BCE, describes detailed surgical procedures, trauma diagnosis, and rational treatments based on observation, not magic. It explains spinal injuries, skull fractures, and even prognosis. An ailment I will treat, an ailment I will fight, an ailment not to be treated. That is clinical medicine. Long before modern neurosurgery, Africans were performing trepanation, drilling precise holes into the skull to relieve pressure, treat headaches, seizures, or trauma. Archaeological evidence from Sudan, Kenya, and North Africa shows bone regeneration, proving patients survived the procedures. No anesthesia machines, no antibiotics, just deep anatomical knowledge and herbal medicine. African healers documented hundreds of medicinal plants. Willow bark for pain later became aspirin. Aloe vera for wounds, garlic for infections, frankincense as an anti-inflammatory. This was not guesswork. It was generations of experimentation. While Europe once blamed mental illness on demons, many African societies recognized emotional and psychological imbalance. Healing involved community support, music and rhythm therapy, herbal calming remedies, spiritual counseling. Mental health was not isolated, it was relational. Illness was seen as imbalance between body, mind, spirit, and environment. Modern psychology is only now rediscovering what Africa already knew. So if Africa was so advanced, why don't we learn this in school? Colonial powers rewrote history to justify domination. African knowledge was labeled primitive. Sacred texts were burned. Oral traditions were dismissed. Yet European doctors secretly studied African practices. enslaved Africans carried medical knowledge to the Americas, forming the roots of modern herbal medicine. Africa taught the world. The world took notes and erased the teacher. Today, pharmaceutical companies study African plants for cancer treatments, pain relief, and antiviral drugs. Modern surgery mirrors ancient techniques. Holistic medicine echoes African philosophies. What was once dismissed is now being validated. The truth is undeniable. Africa was not behind history. Africa was ahead of it. This is not just history. It's identity. When a people forget their brilliance, they accept limitation. When they remember, they rise. Africa's science and medicine were real. They worked, and they still matter. The question is no longer, did Africa contribute? The question is, why were we never told? If this video changed how you see history, share it. Subscribe to reclaim the stories they never wanted told. Because history didn't start elsewhere. It started here.